Hello guys, welcome back. So it has been a very busy past few weeks, but I think we're finally over it. This week has definitely felt a lot more relaxing, way more chill. Yeah, I can't believe November just really flew by. Next week is like Thanksgiving week, and then we're already in December. Even the weather outside is a little bit different. We're definitely hitting, the more colder months where the sky is just super overcast, which I actually don't mind. I find filming in the winter so much easier because you don't have to deal with like the sunlight just constantly coming in and out. Yes, that's my little update for you guys. It is Friday. I am starting to unbox this little package that I got from Branch Furniture. I'm gonna be working with them next month, which is very exciting. Obviously, I want to familiarize myself with these new pieces, kind of play around with them in terms of like where I'm thinking I want to put them in my room. And yeah, I thought I would show you guys what exactly I ended up picking out. So these two pieces that I ended up picking out are actually new cozy lamps. They're specifically by this brand called Tala, which you can get on the Branch website. Here's like the first half of the first one. It's this really nice, smooth frosted glass. And yeah, I just love the shape. I think this one is the bottom part of this piece. And then here's what the bottom half of the piece looks like. I think the bottom of this is a really nice touch. It's like this felt material so it doesn't scratch up any of your tabletop surfaces. I'm gonna do my best to put this together very carefully. And then here's what it looks like with the pieces together. And if you guys were curious, this is actually the Tala Reflection Oval Table Lamp. They do have other options as well, which you can kind of see on the back side of this little pamphlet. I was actually between this one and the shape that they had on the end. This one I believe is called their Eno style, but I don't know, I kind of wanted something a little bit chunkier and just felt a little bit more unique. Okay, my initial thoughts, I really like the plan texture. Like you have the frosted glass up here. This middle section, if you guys can see, is actually glazed. So I think it's just gonna reflect the light upward really beautifully. And then from here to the bottom, it's like completely unglazed. So I don't know, I think it'll be really interesting when I actually light this one up. And then the second lamp I got is also from Tala. Here's the little light bulb. Yeah, pretty much the same little frosted glass material. The second lamp that I got is their Illumina lamp. You guys know me, I love the color green, so of course I had to get it in this specific color. This one is their Sage, but they also come in a bunch of other colors like a white, a navy blue, a black, and I think like some sort of like blush pink. It has this little dial here, so it's really easy to adjust the light as you need. But yeah, these are the two little lamps that I picked out, and now I need to just figure out where these are gonna go in my room. Okay, so I think I really like this lamp over here. I think this area of my room was looking a little bit dark ever since I moved my mushroom lamp over to my desk. And then I'm not entirely sure where to put the other lamp. I think I need to think that through a little bit more. What's cool about that one is you can actually mount it, which I'm actually trying to consider if I want to mount it here or maybe over in the corner over there. And I would say if you are a fellow creator, I would definitely recommend, investing into some cozy backlights. I know I just got this one, but this is actually an alarm clock from Hatch. And then this one is like the IKEA lamp I'm sure you guys have seen everywhere. Overall, just as like a little creative tip, I think it just adds a really nice cozy element to any kind of video. And even if you do have like really good lighting, like I have these huge bay windows, so I would say I get a lot more natural light than maybe like the average bedroom. But even with that, like this wall and like some of the corners of my room that aren't necessarily like the closest to my bay window, in real life, it may not really look like it's quite dark, but when you film on it, I feel like that difference is a little bit more apparent. So just something to keep in mind. I do think lighting itself is just a really helpful creative tool that can take you quite a long way. Let me know if you guys have any questions. But speaking of being a little bit more creative this week, I actually wanted to take advantage of that and go to the ceramic studio. Ceramics is kind of like my creative hobby. I'm not like any kind of ceramic artist or anything like that by any means. It's just something fun I like to do, and I also find a lot of enjoyment filming the whole process as well. So that is what we're going to be doing today and probably leading into the weekend. And I've been really meaning to walk you guys through some pieces that I've had finished for many months. So I hope it's not too late to say this, but I hope you guys enjoy this week's video. I, for one, am very excited. Right now I am repacking my ceramic studio bag. I kind of threw everything in here and I feel like it's been such a mess, and I just want to make sure I have everything I need and I know where everything is. But something I've been kind of thinking about as I've been getting more and more into ceramics, and I feel like I've made some really, really cool pieces, is building a website where I can, I don't know, just like showcase everything. And if I ever wanted to sell the pieces later down the line, I could easily scale it to that. So I just want to very quickly thank Durable for sponsoring this portion of the video, because they just make building websites so much more seamless and way less overwhelming. If you guys have not heard of Durable, they are an AI-powered platform that helps solo entrepreneurs, freelancers, and creatives get online fast. Literally, all you have to do is just type what you do, maybe a little bit about your business, hit generate, and then Durable does all the heavy lifting in terms of layout, images, and even branding. I'm obviously not at the point of being able to sell anything, but I think just having a professional home to house some of my favorite work is really, really nice. And then if I ever wanted to make it into a business, it'd be super easy to transition into that. But a really cool thing about Durable is they don't just stop at the website part. They have this feature called Studio, which is basically an AI design studio built into the platform, where it can instantly create logos, branded visuals, and even social posts that match your own creative style. And if you're not like me and you are a little bit more on like the business side of things, they also have AI chats where it can basically help with marketing tasks or customer communication. And I thought this was really cool, but everything built on Durable is actually search engine optimized for Google, so people can actually find your work or find your business online. And their starter plan is only $12 a month. It comes with a custom domain, unlimited pages, analytics, millions of stock images, basically everything you would need to start a website, but also actually grow your online presence. If you guys wanted to try it out and create your own website in minutes, I do have a little code for you guys. It is Dani30, which gives you 30% off all of their plans. And I will have my link down below in my description box if you guys want to check them out. Hi guys, happy Saturday. So I'm actually about to head to the pottery studio. I'm like so happy I went yesterday. I feel like the wheel and we slowly started clicking, and I don't know if that like raised my confidence to like an unhealthy amount, because now I kind of want to make as many mugs as possible and just like give it to both friends and family. Originally I was just gonna stick it with family, keep things simple, but I have a whole like 2 more bags of clay to use, so I figured might as well just try to use every little last bit of it. So yeah, I'm super excited. It is about 11:20, so I have, I want to say like 5 hours to throw as much as I possibly can. I don't know how successful I will be, but I think it'll be really fun, and I think that repetition will definitely be super helpful later down the line. I think this is like the last weekend I will be able to like throw things on the wheel, because class is kind of finishing up for the semester. So wish me luck, and let's hurry up and get to the studio because we do not have a lot of time. Happy Tuesday. It is indeed the next week. I have basically just been going in and out of the ceramic studio. I brought you guys here because I have pulled all of my little ceramic pieces that I made in both my first session over the summer and then my fall session, which is the session that I'm in currently. And I've been really wanting to share with you guys a little bit more about these pieces. You might have seen them on my shorts because I do share more of my pottery journey in like my short form content, but one of the biggest downside of shorts is like you can't really go super detailed or really explain things really thoroughly or share more of like your reflections and your thought process, which is why I am super excited to be sharing a little bit more about these pieces with all of you today. So I hope you guys enjoy, and maybe it will inspire you to pick up your own little ceramics class. But let's get started. So this is the first little piece that I made. This is my little ribbed planter, and I made this in the first session. One thing I will say about the difference between the first session and the second session was the first session we focused a lot more on like learning a little bit of everything, but because there's just so many more hand building techniques, I just ended up doing mostly hand building in my first session. And then in the second session, I basically was allowed to do whatever I want, so it's a little bit more mixed, I would say. But yes, this is the very first piece that I made. I made it using the pinch pot technique, and if you guys are not familiar with ceramics, you basically take like a ball of clay and like push a hole down the center, and then you slowly start to pinch it to build the walls to, you know, some kind of cylinder or whatever shape that you're going for. Because it was like my first project, I wanted to keep things as simple as possible, so I just went for a basic pot. But I will say, as I was building it out and really got it to the shape that I wanted, I did add this like ribbed detailing where I essentially just like carved out these lines by hand just to make it like a little bit more interesting, I guess, to look at, which I am actually really glad I did that, because I think it not only makes it look a little bit more interesting, but because it's not perfectly symmetrical, since it is a pinch pot, I think it kind of masks a little bit of that and makes this feel a little bit more free-flowing and handmade, I guess you could say. I decided to pick this glaze color, which is called Celadon. Love the color green, and this has like a bluish greenish tint to it, which I think is quite beautiful. And yeah, I think overall this was a very successful first project. Something that I've actually been meaning to do with this little pot is put a real plant in here. I've been using this fake IKEA plants, and I just feel like it looks so dumb and just not good. So if you guys have any plant recommendations for something of this size, please let me know. Next up, I have my moon jar. This was part of the second project of the first session, where we were required to make something that was like, I think like 8 to 10 inches tall, and the vessel either had to have some kind of belly or some kind of waist, and the method that we were learning was coils. So I did make this completely out of coils. But if you guys have seen my shorts, because Miss Moon Jar has actually gone a little bit viral, things started to go wrong very, very quickly and back to back. So basically what had happened was, after I built out, you know, her main moon jar shape, we were also learning other techniques. So in the back of my head, I was kind of thinking of ways to make her a little bit more interesting. I don't know, I just wanted to more artistically and creatively push myself. So two techniques that kind of caught my eye. The first one was burnishing, which is basically like you smooth the surface with some kind of like metal spoon or like a smooth rock. And the reason you do that is because after you fire it, it has like a really shiny surface. So after I had built out the shape, I spent like a ton of time just like smoothing out the surface. But then another technique we had learned was hakime. Basically, you apply slip before it's first firing, and I think the effects of that is like after you glaze it, it just gives it a really unique kind of texture. I think what went wrong is because I initially wanted to burnish it, so I really smoothed out the surface, and then I changed my mind to do the hakime technique. So I added all of the slip to it, and it just added a ton of weight to the piece. The bottom of the piece was actually a little bit thinner than how I had made the top, so it just completely collapsed on itself. And the timing is just so comedic because I was actually looking into the slip bucket, so I didn't even notice that it fell for like a good 30 seconds, and then you just see the moment that I noticed, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like what just happened? And it's like pure panic mode. I called my teacher over, had him take a look. She went to the doctor's office. Essentially, we gave her a little bit of an emergency surgery because initially she was actually flipped this way. So my teacher was like, why don't you just flip it, add some coils to give a little bit more structure and support to like where it broke. It was like more likely to be able to hold, you know, any extra weight. I was still super determined to do the Hakime technique. So after it had dried a little bit, I went back in with the same slip, and then I put her on the bisque firing shelf to go through her first fire. And I thought at that point it was gonna be like smooth sailing, and I was completely wrong because she just had a mind of her own. She had her own plan on how she wanted to turn out. All of the slip that I had put on, or not all of it, but a lot of it just like broke off. And yeah, again, we kind of went into a whole another doctor's appointment with her, trying to see what we could do. What we ended up doing was like breaking off the pieces that were like really hanging out. A lot of them were like really strongly adhered to the piece, so I couldn't do anything about those. And yeah, we just completely shifted the plan to work with whatever she had going on. And my teacher recommended I use this glaze called Snow White, which is a matte glaze. He thought it would work really well with like this new texture that we had going on. And I ended up brushing the glaze on because there was just like all of these little crevices that I needed to secure the glaze onto. And yeah, you would think at that point it was completely smooth sailing, but of course I made the biggest mistake and I actually put her on the wrong shelf. This is like the first time I was using a cone 6 glaze, which I believe is like a low to mid fire glaze, but I ended up putting her on the high fire shelf, which at my studio is cone 10. But that is pretty much how she got to this state where you can just see like the glaze really just like went everywhere. When I initially saw it, I was honestly pretty devastated. I just like didn't even want to look at it. I was just so frustrated with this piece at this point. But my teacher, he is such a great teacher. He was like, just put her in a box, don't look at her for like a good 3 weeks. And yeah, he was just basically like, you just need a little bit of time away from her to kind of like see and appreciate her beauty. And I did exactly what he said. And I will say, I do really love this piece. I think it looks really cool. And I'm not just saying that to like be optimistic, but I think I just learned so much about ceramics from just this one piece by itself. I don't think I'd ever be able to recreate like the look of something like this. I think this is forever gonna be one of the coolest pieces I've ever made. And that is the full story of Miss Moon Jar. This project was also from the first session, and for this we focused on slab building. What was really cool about this specific project was the fact that it had to be a fully enclosed piece. I really wanted to make something that could kind of sit and lay quite a few different ways. So you can actually have it like this and then this way as well. And I think this is really funny because it looks like a little dog. Overall, I thought this was a very cool project. I've never really thought to make any kind of like sculpture or something a little bit more abstract. So I thought this was a really fun challenge to kind of do that, because I think I'm such a functional like person that anytime I go into ceramics, I'm always trying to think of making stuff that's more on like the useful or like a utility centered design. I went with the chino because I thought that would maybe be a little bit easier to work with. I think I heard about this after I had glazed it, but the thing about chino is it tends to kind of separate a little bit. That's basically what happened to this piece, where it's not really a smooth coat of glaze. I did learn this term from like a ceramics friend, but she said that I had this really nice like blushing effect where, yeah, it kind of like looks a little bit toasted up here. I would say overall this piece is all right. I don't think I'm really much of an abstract artist person, but I think this was a really good first attempt. And I thought this was really funny, but I have posted this on my shorts and somebody said it was like Squidward's drawing, which I thought was hilarious. And I think it is an honor to have made something that reminds some of you guys of SpongeBob. So this is the first piece from my second session that I want to show you guys. This was actually an idea I've had for quite some time because I basically received this little PR gift in the mail. It's from Summer Fridays when they were celebrating their 5-year anniversary. I kind of, tore it apart, but basically they had gifted me a full set of all of the lip butter balms and it came in this like really nifty, neat little case. So after I received this in the mail, I really wanted to make like a ceramic version of this. However, things did not go to plan because I just basically made an exact replica of this without taking into consideration shrinkage. So as you can see, they are, pretty much identical in size. Because I didn't account that the height in this would shrink, it literally doesn't go all the way down. So super tragic because I spent so many weeks working on this. And even though this isn't really, a functional piece anymore and I don't really know what I'm gonna do with it, I really enjoyed the overall learning process of this because I really wanted to make the bow a different color and I wasn't sure exactly how to do that. So I got a little bit of help from other people in my ceramic studio and they were teaching me like the underglaze or like the underpainting technique. Yeah, I also carved this all completely by hand and that was really fun, where I actually went through a bunch of different typefaces on Photoshop to come up with like a nice layout for the typography. So yeah, this was very much iteration 1. I do want to attempt it again because I love the Summer Fridays lip butter balm. I take them with me everywhere, and I think it'd just be really cool to have a unique case to display all of them, especially because I literally own every single shade. And finally, I have these 2 bowls that I threw on the wheel. My mom and brother literally make fun of me because they thought these were bowls that I made for my dog. Like, this is his kibble bowl and then this is his water bowl. But these were like the first 2 things that I had thrown after many, many iterations that I thought I would want to keep. This one I think is my favorite, and the glaze color that I used was a Cone 6 glaze, and this one I believe is called Raspberry. I think Raspberry is like the perfect name for this. This is very rich, deep red burgundy tone, and I thought this was really fun because one of my really good friends, Lauren, actually gifted me this ceramic stamp for my birthday, so I was super excited to be able to use it on some of these newer pieces. Right now I'm actually considering using this maybe as like a little jewelry bowl to hold like my watch, my earrings, and like any rings. I think overall what I was really proud of when it came to this piece was just getting this nice thicker even rim. That's definitely been something I have consistently struggled with whenever it comes to the wheel, which you'll definitely notice in this piece. So I think this was like my first step in feeling like maybe I am slowly getting more used to the wheel. And you definitely will be seeing her around my room, so stay tuned for that. And then this last piece is, you know, a very simple bowl. It's definitely far from perfect. I actually have a bit of cracking on the bottom. I was really, really happy with how clean I was able to get the bottom. And yeah, overall, I think this is such a gorgeous color. I definitely want to make more pieces with, you know, this more royal blue. I think I was able to get this one to be, you know, relatively symmetrical, but the rim is definitely, you know, a little bit more on the thinner side up here, which I don't really know if is like a good or a bad thing, but I just think overall I am really bad at pulling up the walls very evenly. Yeah, I don't really have much to say. It's just, you know, a basic little bowl. And I think right now I'm really in the stage where I just want to get better at the wheel. And I feel like the really exciting thing about the wheel is like once you get good at it, I think it really opens the door of like where you can go with ceramics and take your pieces. So yeah, that's all the stuff I threw this year. I will keep you guys updated in terms of like the stuff that I threw more recently as far as gifts go for Christmas. But overall, I hope you guys enjoyed this week's video. It has been a long time coming. Like I've been really, really wanting to share more of my ceramics journey with you guys. So my apologies that this was a little bit delayed. And I hope you guys have a very happy holiday season. Thank you guys so much for being here. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed this week's video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!